In a world overflowing with noise, distractions, and relentless expectations, what if the greatest strength you could possess is the ability to remain unfazed? Imagine a life where external chaos no longer dictates your inner peace and where your self-worth isn't shackled to others' opinions. This book is your invitation to embark on a transformative journey, a path to cultivate a mindset that thrives amidst turmoil. As you delve into this book, you will uncover the secrets to liberating yourself from the burdens of approval, judgment, and anxiety, and ultimately discover the power of a truly unbothered life. Unbothered Mindset, Care Less and Stay Calm in All Situations, written and published by Silent Validity. Lesson 1. The Art of Not Taking Things Personally. In a world that thrives on opinions and digital interactions, it can be all too easy to let the words and actions of others define our self-worth. The desire for validation is a deeply ingrained psychological need that stems from our inherent need for social acceptance. From an early age, we are influenced by the responses of those around us, parents, teachers, peers, creating a framework wherein our value is often measured by external factors. This relentless quest for approval not only breeds insecurity but also clouds our judgment and hinders our personal growth. Consider the employee who constantly seeks praise from their boss, going above and beyond in an effort to earn recognition. Each time their efforts go unnoticed, feelings of inadequacy seep in, fueling self-doubt and anxiety. This scenario encapsulates a common struggle. When we let our accomplishments hinge on the acknowledgement of others, we relinquish our power. The truth is that validation, while seemingly harmless, often leads us to pursue hollow victories. A facade built on insecurity rather than personal conviction. Similarly, friendships can become a breeding ground for validation-seeking behavior. Picture a group of friends where one individual feels compelled to agree with every opinion expressed, afraid of offending or being rejected. In this case, the fear of criticism or ostracization outweighs the importance of genuine self-expression, leaving that person feeling disconnected and overwhelmed. The irony is stark. In seeking acceptance, we risk losing our authenticity and, in turn, our true selves. We often fall into the validation trap when we invest heavily in social media. The immediate gratification that comes from likes and comments can present a false sense of worth. When a post garners significant attention, it can momentarily boost self-esteem, but this is fleeting and contingent upon the opinions of others. Over time, the cycle becomes exhausting, leading to a nagging sensation of emptiness when the likes dwindle. Here lies a fundamental truth. If our self-worth is reliant on external feedback, we become prisoners of circumstance, constantly chasing an elusive high that leaves us feeling more desolate than fulfilled. Understanding the psychological mechanisms behind our validation-seeking behavior is essential for breaking free from its grasp. At its core, the desire for affirmation taps into our fundamental wish for belonging and connection. Yet, as we grow, it is pivotal to recognize that true validation must come from within. It is about nurturing an internal compass that guides our self-worth, independent of outside influences. When we master the art of not taking things personally, we begin to reclaim our individuality and power. This journey entails a deliberate shift in mindset, one that emphasizes self-acceptance over external approval. By gradually reframing how we interpret criticism or indifference, we can cultivate resilience. Instead of viewing perceived slights as reflections of our value, we can embrace them as opportunities for growth. Learning the art of not taking things personally allows us to strengthen our emotional foundation, ensuring that it does not waver with the whims of others. As you move through this lesson, reflect on your own experiences and the influences that shape your need for validation. Consider the moments when you felt judged or criticized and how they impacted your self-perception. Recognizing these patterns is the first step towards freeing yourself from the chains of external validation. Embrace the journey ahead and remind yourself, your worth is intrinsic and unwavering. To effectively recognize and halt the cycle of seeking validation, developing heightened self-awareness is crucial. Begin by tuning in to your emotional responses in various situations. When faced with criticism or indifference, pause and take note of your immediate feelings. Are you distressed, anxious, or defensive? These reactions are powerful indicators of your commitment to seeking affirmation. Acknowledging these emotions can provide insight into your behavior. Psychological research suggests that self-reflection is fundamental for personal growth. By recognizing patterns in your responses, you set the groundwork for a more introspective and grounded approach. An effective strategy lies in cultivating a mindset that embraces self-acceptance over external validation. Shift your focus from striving for approval to identifying your intrinsic values. What inspires you? What gives your life meaning? By honing in on your unique passions and abilities, you create a foundation that remains intact, regardless of outside opinions. This exercise encourages you to document your strengths, accomplishments, and qualities that make you uniquely you. Revisit this list regularly as a reminder that your value does not depend on the approval of others. Research in positive psychology underscores the importance of self-affirmation in developing resilience against outside judgments. Moreover, embrace a practice of gratitude that intensifies your appreciation for your own journey. When faced with negative feedback, allow gratitude to anchor you. Instead of spiraling into self-doubt, acknowledge the lessons the experience offers. For example, if a colleague criticizes your project, instead of fixating on the disapproval, reflect on the skills you've enhanced throughout the process. This shift allows you to grow rather than become mired in negativity, reinforcing the concept that others' opinions do not define your worth. Actionable exercises can solidify these concepts into your daily life. Challenge yourself to engage in conversations where you intentionally express your opinion, even if it clashes with the majority. Doing so will build confidence in your voice and diminish the fear of judgment. Another powerful exercise involves writing a letter to your future self. In this letter, articulate your aspirations and the steps you are taking to honor your authentic self. When you read this in the future, use it as a reminder of your intrinsic worth and the perseverance you've demonstrated to resist the chains of others' opinions. Consider the story of Sarah, a graphic designer who struggled with taking criticism personally, particularly from clients. Each piece of feedback felt like a blow to her competency, leading her to lose her creative spark. After recognizing her need for validation, she implemented a strategy of seeking constructive criticism from trusted colleagues instead. This shift allowed her to differentiate between valuable expertise and unsolicited negativity, significantly improving her confidence and creativity. Sarah's journey illustrates the importance of surrounding ourselves with individuals who support and uplift rather than diminish our self-worth. As this lesson concludes, remember that mastering the art of not taking things personally paves the way for authentic living. In our next lesson, we will explore the concept of detaching from opinions that do not serve us. Prepare to uncover the strategies that enable you to let go of the emotional weight others place on you, creating space for a more fulfilling and autonomous life. Reflect on what it means to be free from the shackles of judgment. Before moving on, consider engaging with this material. Share your thoughts, reflections, or personal experiences in the comments. Your journey to an unbothered mindset awaits. Lesson 2. Detaching from opinions that don't serve you. In the intricate tapestry of human relationships, our sense of self often hinges on the opinions of others, a practice that can suffocate our individuality. The concept of detaching from unhelpful opinions is not merely a choice, it is a powerful act of self-preservation. Seeking validation often derives from our innate desire for acceptance and love. Yet this fundamental need can morph into a detrimental habit, chaining us to external judgments that may not reflect our true selves. When we allow such opinions to dictate our actions and beliefs, we forfeit the right to live authentically. The psychological toll of this validation-seeking behavior is profound. Studies indicate that individuals who excessively rely on external approval experience heightened anxiety, diminished self-esteem, and an internal conflict that often manifests in stress and dissatisfaction. This dependence on others' perceptions becomes a double-edged sword. It may offer temporary comfort, but ultimately leads to a life cycle of discontent. For instance, consider the scenario of a young woman who feels compelled to alter her appearance based on social media standards. Each day, she meticulously curates her image to meet the expectations of an ever-changing digital audience, sacrificing her health and self-acceptance in the process. In her pursuit of validation, she unwittingly reinforces her disconnection from her authentic self. Detachment from such unhelpful opinions requires an understanding of the emotional landscape surrounding our need for approval. Fear plays a significant role. The fear of rejection or judgment solidifies our attachment to others' views. In professional settings, this can manifest as individuals who suppress their ideas during meetings to avoid potential criticism. They may endure an internal struggle, fighting against their instincts while striving to fit into a mold defined by the group. The irony here is stark. Striving for acceptance can often hinder the very contributions that make their perspectives unique. Real-life examples abound, illustrating the trap of attaching undue weight to external perspectives. Take, for instance, a middle-aged man navigating a career transition. He finds himself taking advice from friends and relatives who emphasize financial security over his passion for creativity. Caught in this conflict, he wrestles with self-doubt, torn between societal expectations and his unacknowledged dreams. In this situation, the opinions of well-meaning loved ones create a cycle of pressure that detracts from his true ambitions. Moreover, the emotional baggage this attachment carries can lead to burnout. As individuals strive to align their actions with others' expectations, they often neglect their desires, resulting in an unfulfilled existence. The ongoing quest for validation shapes a life dictated by compliance rather than authenticity. This reality compels one to question, whose life are we truly living? To break free from this pattern of seeking validation, it becomes essential to challenge the societal norms that dictate your worth. By reframing your experiences and recognizing that opinions are, at their core, subjective, you can grant yourself the permission to detach. Understanding that not every perspective holds value paves the way for authentic growth. The pivotal realization is that not all opinions are created equal. Distinguishing which feedback serves your growth can empower you to step confidently on your path towards self-discovery. As we delve deeper into this lesson, prepare to uncover strategies to actively detach from these opinions while nurturing a powerful sense of self. Embrace the journey ahead that leads away from dependence and toward inner freedom. To effectively detach from opinions that do not serve your growth, cultivating a robust self-awareness is vital. Begin by implementing reflective practices that allow you to identify triggers that elicit a need for external validation. For example, when you find yourself feeling anxious or uncertain after receiving feedback, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, why does this opinion matter so much to me? What fears or insecurities arise from it? Psychological research highlights that recognizing these emotional responses is critical for dismantling their influence over your behavior. By exposing the mechanisms behind your reactions, you create space to challenge the legitimacy of unhelpful perspectives. Another essential strategy involves shifting your focus from seeking approval to valuing your own voice. Instead of asking, "What do they think?" try reframing it to, "What do I think?" or "What resonates with me?" This mindset shift empowers you to prioritize your own beliefs and instincts, thereby fostering a more profound sense of self. Consider the story of Alex, a talented musician who initially felt paralyzed by the opinions of industry professionals. After months of internal conflict, he decided to take a sabbatical to reconnect with the joy of music. During this time, he embraced his unique sound without the weight of external judgment. Upon returning, he found that his authenticity resonated more with audiences than any carefully curated image ever could. Alex's journey exemplifies the transformative power of fostering a perspective grounded in self-worth, rather than reliant on validation. Incorporating actionable exercises into your daily routine can further reinforce this shift in mindset. Start by setting a clear intention each morning to honor your authentic self throughout the day. This could be as simple as affirming your commitment to follow your instincts in conversations, decisions, or creative expressions. Journaling can also be an effective tool, allowing you to articulate your thoughts and feelings without the pressure of external opinions. Each week, write down 3 situations where you felt swayed by others' opinions and analyze them. Explore how you could have responded differently by embracing your authentic perspective, and gradually, you'll gain the confidence to prioritize your insights. Engage in a real-world challenge by purposely sharing your original ideas or opinions in group settings or online forums. Observe how you feel when you express your thoughts, regardless of how they are received. This exercise cultivates courage and resilience, showing you that your beliefs can stand strong in the face of outside perspectives. Psychological studies underscore the importance of community support in this journey, so consider surrounding yourself with individuals who encourage authenticity, fostering an environment where your self-worth flourishes. As this lesson wraps up, it becomes clear that detaching from opinions that do not serve you is not just empowering, it is essential for personal growth and happiness. Cultivating this awareness and confidence allows you to reclaim your narrative and define your self-worth on your own terms. In the next lesson, we will explore the liberating process of letting go of the need for approval. Prepare to uncover how to break free from the constraints of seeking validation and embrace a life driven by your own standards. As you reflect on the insights gained here, consider engaging with this content. Share your thoughts, experiences, or suggestions in the comments. Your journey towards a more fulfilling, unbothered life is just beginning. Lesson 3. Letting go of the need for approval. In a society that often equates worth with external validation, the need for approval can feel suffocating. The constant pursuit of acceptance can trap us in a cycle of self-doubt, where our sense of identity hinges on the viewpoints of others. To truly let go of the need for approval is to embrace a profound and often daunting shift in mindset. It requires an understanding of the emotional and psychological underpinnings of this dependency, revealing how deeply it can dictate our behaviors and decision-making processes. The quest for approval often stems from an innate desire for belonging and social connection. Evolutionarily, humans have thrived in groups, and feeling accepted by others was essential for survival. However, in today's world, this primal instinct can morph into an unhealthy obsession with gaining external affirmation. Psychological research indicates that reliance on others for validation leads to chronic anxiety and an unshakable sense of insecurity. For instance, consider a young professional, Julia, who constantly seeks validation from her colleagues and supervisors. Each time she completes a project, she feels compelled to ask for praise or reassurance before she feels confident in her abilities. This dependence on others' approval not only hampers her self-esteem, but also stifles her creativity, leading her to produce work that feels more like a reflection of what others want rather than her unique vision. Real-world scenarios abound that highlight how individuals often allow their self-worth to be dictated by others' opinions. Take the example of Liam, an aspiring artist who hesitates to share his work publicly, fearing negative feedback. Whenever he showcases his art to friends, he becomes overwhelmed with anxiety, waiting for compliments to affirm his talent. This fear of rejection prevents him from fully embracing his passion and sharing his narrative with the world. Each day he postpones sharing his work, he undermines his authentic self and talents, all because he seeks validation that may never come. The emotional impact of needing approval is profound, often leading to chronic dissatisfaction. When we tie our self-worth to others' opinions, we remain on a precarious emotional roller coaster, where our moods and confidence levels fluctuate unpredictably based on external reactions. This reliance creates a facade of self-perception that can hinder personal growth. Instead of investing in our own development, we may find ourselves perpetually chasing external affirmation, sacrificing our individuality in the process. Understanding this emotional landscape is a critical step toward liberation. It becomes essential to realize that the need for approval is often rooted in fear, the fear of rejection, inadequacy, or the unknown. This realization can serve as a catalyst for change. As we confront these fears, we begin to reclaim power over our self-perception. In this lesson, we will delve deeper into strategies that enable you to let go of the need for approval, empowering you to define your self-worth independently. By journeying through reflective exercises and mindset shifts, you will learn to dismantle the chains of external validation and explore the authentic self that lies beneath. Prepare to uncover the truth behind what it means to be truly free, unfettered by the weight of others' expectations. The path to self-acceptance is not merely an act of defiance. It is an essential expedition toward embracing your true identity. To effectively let go of the need for approval, developing self-awareness is crucial. Start by identifying the situations in which you feel an intense urge for validation. This may be during social gatherings, work meetings, or even personal conversations. Take note of your emotional state in these moments. Are you feeling anxious, insecure, or overly eager to please? Recognizing these feelings allows you to pinpoint your triggers, creating a foundation for understanding the deeper psychological need for approval. Research in behavioral psychology suggests that self-awareness is the first step toward reforming habitual patterns, making it essential for breaking free from external validation. A paradigm shift in your mindset is instrumental in altering this cycle. Begin to view approval not as a prerequisite for worth, but as a byproduct of living authentically. The moment you accept that your value exists independently of others' opinions is when genuine self-assurance blooms. Consider the perspective of Sam, a marketing executive who spent years seeking validation from his superiors. After a series of setbacks due to persistent changes in leadership, he realized that his self-worth was too reliant on external recognition. By shifting his focus to personal satisfaction with his work, he discovered newfound confidence that did not crumble with each critique. His success became a reflection of intrinsic motivation rather than external accolades, demonstrating that self-validation breeds resilience. To reinforce these mindset shifts, engage in exercises that foster introspection and authenticity. One effective practice is to create a self-affirmation journal. Each day, write down accomplishments, qualities, or decisions you take pride in, irrespective of how others perceive them. This practice serves to anchor your self-worth in your actions and values, not in the fluctuating opinions of others. Additionally, set a challenge for yourself. Engage in a task where you override the urge to seek approval. This could involve sharing your opinions in a group setting or expressing your creativity without seeking feedback. Observe the process without allowing external responses to influence your feelings about your contribution. Such exercises can bolster confidence in your decisions and reinforce your self-identity. Consider the case of Mia, a software developer haunted by incessant second-guessing of her work due to peer opinions. She began to implement feedback-free zones for her projects. Setting aside a designated time where she could create without the pressure of feedback freed Mia from the constraints that fueled her anxieties. With practice, she realized her work gained vibrancy and innovation when it came purely from her sense of conviction. The emotional landscape surrounding the need for approval is nuanced, marked by fear and insecurity. Understanding these complexities is essential as you navigate the process of letting go. Psychological research shows that the journey to self-acceptance requires persistent effort and commitment. Over time, as self-affirmations become habitual and approval-seeking behaviors diminish, you will see a significant positive shift in how you perceive yourself and respond to others' opinions. As we conclude this lesson, remember that the path toward self-acceptance and authenticity is ongoing. You possess the power to define your worth and create a fulfilling narrative that reflects your true self. In our next lesson, we will address the liberating process of releasing overthinking and mental clutter. Prepare to uncover techniques that enhance clarity and focus, allowing you to navigate life without the burden of excessive mental noise. As you contemplate the insights shared here, consider sharing your reflections or experiences in the comments. Your journey toward a more empowered self continues. Lesson 4. Releasing overthinking and mental clutter. In an age where information overload is the norm, the ability to think clearly often feels elusive. Overthinking is not merely a mental habit. It can become a pervasive cycle that traps individuals in a labyrinth of doubt and confusion. This mental clutter obscures clarity, stifles creativity, and prevents us from making decisions aligned with our true selves. Understanding the psychological roots of overthinking is essential in breaking free from its grasp and fostering a more focused mind. The urge to overthink arises from a complex interplay of anxiety and the desire for perfection. When faced with uncertainty, many people seek security in an exhaustive analysis of every possible outcome. This hyper-analysis often stems from a deep-seated fear of failure or negative judgment, leading individuals to second-guess their thoughts and decisions. For instance, consider Rachel, a college student who spends hours revising her paper because she fears the consequences of submitting imperfect work. Each time she revisits her document, she becomes ensnared in a cycle of criticism, unable to accept that the work is already good enough. Here, the need for validation weaves through her overthinking as she unconsciously seeks reassurance from imaginary critics rather than trusting her own judgment. Overthinking can also manifest in daily interactions, where the fear of how others perceive us can lead to incessant rumination. Take the example of Mark, who finds himself replaying conversations repeatedly in his mind, worried about how he came across in a recent discussion. His fixation on potential missteps heavily clouds his ability to engage in the present moment, leading to elevated stress and anxiety. The emotional tactics of overthinking often convince us that if we dissect and experience deeply enough, we can gain control. Yet this effort typically breeds frustration rather than resolution. Research in psychology emphasizes that individuals engaged in chronic overthinking often exhibit higher levels of anxiety and lower self-esteem. This emotional toll makes it crucial for those affected to recognize the patterns of their thought processes and to understand that mental clutter can distort reality, making problems appear larger than they are. Over time, the relentless need for perfect outcomes can prevent one from moving forward, trapping them in a cycle of indecision that stifles growth. As we explore the intricacies of releasing overthinking, it is vital to realize that the mind is not an enemy. Rather, it is an ally that can be guided. A key strategy involves developing mindfulness practices that foster present-moment awareness. Engaging in activities such as meditation, deep breathing, or simply taking quiet moments throughout the day allows individuals to cultivate a more balanced perspective. By training the mind to focus on the here and now, we can diminish the weight of excessive thoughts and emotions. Consider the journey of Liam, an entrepreneur who began to notice how overthinking stunted his decision-making abilities. By incorporating short mindfulness breaks into his hectic schedule, he began to reclaim mental space. After implementing this practice, he found himself able to approach challenges with clarity, leading to quicker decisions and a renewed sense of confidence. As we move forward in this lesson, it becomes clear that releasing overthinking and mental clutter is not solely a relaxation technique. It is a pathway to reclaiming control over your mind and fostering genuine clarity. Prepare to delve deeper into actionable strategies and exercises designed to help you cultivate a focused mindset free from the shackles of overanalysis. By uncovering techniques that promote simplicity and clarity, you will learn to navigate life with a renewed sense of purpose. To effectively combat overthinking and mental clutter, individuals must first develop self-awareness to recognize when their thought patterns become unproductive. This recognition involves tuning into your internal dialogue and monitoring how often you spiral into repetitive thoughts or anxiety-driven analysis. A powerful strategy is to maintain a thought journal, where you can record moments when you find yourself overthinking. This practice helps highlight patterns and recurring triggers that lead to mental clutter, allowing you to confront these tendencies head-on. Research in cognitive behavioral therapy emphasizes that simply acknowledging destructive thought patterns can facilitate powerful changes in behavior. Shifting your mindset is also essential in overcoming the inclination to overanalyze. One particularly effective perspective to adopt involves reframing your approach to problems and decisions. Instead of striving for perfection or an exhaustive examination of every possible outcome, cultivate a mindset that favors progress over perfection. Embrace the idea that every decision can serve as a learning experience, regardless of the outcome. The case of Sarah, a project manager, exemplifies this shift. Faced with the responsibility of leading a team initiative, she initially found herself mired in uncertainty and second-guessing each aspect of her plan. However, by reframing her perspective to prioritize experimentation and adaptation over perfection, Sarah unlocked her creativity and fostered a more engaged team environment. Actionable exercises play a pivotal role in reinforcing these mindset shifts. Consider implementing a 5-minute rule during situations when you feel overwhelmed by thoughts. Allocate just 5 minutes to think in depth about the issue at hand. After this time has elapsed, consciously decide to switch your focus to a calming activity, such as going for a walk or practicing deep breathing. This structured time allocation combats overthinking by enforcing a limit on how long you engage with your thoughts. Research in neuroscience indicates that the brain functions more effectively under constraints, leading to higher productivity when mental resources are finite. Another tangible challenge involves adopting decision-making deadlines. By setting a strict time limit for making choices, whether related to work tasks or personal matters, you train your brain to evaluate options quickly without falling into the trap of exhaustive analysis. For instance, if faced with selecting a restaurant, give yourself 3 minutes to explore your options before making a choice. This exercise cultivates the courage to trust your instincts and can significantly alleviate the stress associated with overthinking. A case study relating to this strategy is that of Andrew, a freelance graphic designer who struggled with client revisions. By instating strict deadlines for his design decisions, he began to notice a remarkable change in his productivity and creativity. Andrew allowed himself to trust his judgment and expressed that his work flourished under these new constraints, embodying an aspect of his creative style that had been overshadowed by overanalysis. As we conclude this lesson, recognize that releasing overthinking and mental clutter opens the door to a more fulfilling and decisive life. The clarity and ease that come from trusting your instincts lead to enhanced creativity and growth. In our next lesson, we will explore mastering emotional detachment with confidence. Prepare to uncover what true emotional resilience looks like and how it can empower you to navigate life's challenges unapologetically. As you reflect on the insights gleaned from this discussion, consider sharing your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Your journey toward mental clarity continues, and your engagement with this content is invaluable. Lesson 5: Mastering Emotional Detachment with Confidence. In an increasingly volatile world, mastering emotional detachment is not just a skill. It's a crucial tool for navigating life's tumultuous waters effectively. The quest for emotional detachment stems from a desire to shield oneself from the judgments, criticisms, and potentially overwhelming feelings that life presents. Yet, defining this detachment as an escape or a form of emotional numbing is a misconception. True emotional detachment is about cultivating resilience, enabling us to respond to challenges without becoming entangled in others' perceptions or emotional turmoil. At its core, the psychological impetus for seeking emotional detachment often arises from the pain associated with reliance on external validation. When we permit our emotional state to be dictated by the opinions and actions of others, we risk becoming prisoners to a fluctuating emotional landscape. This reliance can eventually lead to burnout, anxiety, and feelings of inadequacy. For instance, consider Mark, a high-achieving executive. As someone who constantly sought approval from his superiors, he found himself feeling increasingly anxious and overwhelmed. Each time a colleague provided feedback, whether constructive or critical, Mark spiraled into self-doubt, ultimately losing confidence in his abilities. This cycle culminated in a significant emotional toll, revealing the fraught nature of intertwining self-worth with external validation. The challenge of mastering emotional detachment lies in the emotional roller coaster that accompanies our interactions. Emotional attachments can cloud our judgment and lead to reactive behaviors, rendering us vulnerable in both personal and professional arenas. Take Lisa, a young woman who frequently found herself absorbing the emotions of friends and family, feeling compelled to fix their problems while neglecting her own needs. Her emotional landscape became a turbulent sea, characterized by exhaustion and a diminished sense of self-identity. Lisa's experiences underscore how emotional entanglements often detract from our ability to stand firm in our own beliefs and values. Psychological research indicates that individuals who struggle with emotional detachment often harbor a fear of isolation or abandonment. This mindset constricts their capacity to engage authentically with their own feelings, leading to an unhealthy dependency on others for affirmation and connection. The irony is that by seeking validation, we may unwittingly intensify our emotional vulnerability, perpetuating the cycle of emotional turmoil. Understanding the mechanics behind emotional detachment is essential for mastering this skill. Emotional detachment should not be perceived as evasion. Rather, it is an intentional shift towards self-awareness and personal empowerment. It involves recognizing that your emotional responses belong to you alone and that it's absolutely acceptable to create boundaries that prioritize your emotional well-being. This lesson invites you to explore practical avenues to develop emotional detachment without compromising genuine connection. Emotional regulation techniques, such as practicing mindfulness, can anchor your responses and create distance from external pressures. Engaging in activities that promote self-reflection, such as journaling, can help you clarify and articulate your emotions without letting them control your narrative. As we embark on this exploration of emotional detachment, keep in mind that gaining this skill is a journey rather than a destination. Each step leads to a greater understanding of how to navigate emotions with confidence, setting the stage for the empowered life you deserve. In the forthcoming sections, we will delve deeper into actionable strategies and exercises aimed at mastering emotional detachment and building a resilient emotional framework. Prepare yourself for a transformative experience, one that will reshape your interactions and enhance your sense of self. To master emotional detachment, the first step is recognizing when your emotional responses are heavily influenced by external factors. This requires a keen sense of self-awareness to identify moments when you feel exhausted, overwhelmed, or excessively reactive to other people's judgments or emotions. Begin by observing and documenting these experiences in a journal. Write down particular instances where you felt unduly affected by others' opinions, or where you found yourself absorbing someone else's emotional state. This practice will help spotlight patterns and triggers, enabling you to confront and manage these moments more effectively. A crucial mindset shift involves reframing emotional detachment as an act of self-care rather than avoiding feelings. Instead of perceiving it as cold or callous, understand that emotional detachment can empower you to respond with clarity and logic rather than being swept away by emotional currents. For example, consider Jenna, who worked as a team leader in a high-pressure environment. Previously, she found herself emotionally drained after meetings, often internalizing her team's frustrations and conflicts. By recognizing her historical patterns of emotional absorption, Jenna intentionally reframed her approach to leadership. She began viewing her role as guiding and supporting her team, whilst maintaining a healthy boundary where their emotions did not govern her sense of self-worth. This perspective not only bolstered her professional confidence, but also enhanced her capacity to lead effectively. To reinforce these mindset shifts, engaging in daily mindfulness practices can be transformative. Mindfulness involves being present in the moment without judgment. Cultivating this state can help you become aware of your emotional triggers and reduce the intensity of your reactions. For example, dedicating a few moments each day to focused breathing can ground you amidst the emotional chaos of your surroundings. Simply take a few deep breaths, centering your thoughts on the present rather than letting your mind drift toward the judgments of others. Psychology suggests that practicing mindfulness regularly can significantly improve emotional regulation, leading to a more balanced emotional state. Furthermore, challenge yourself with real-world exercises that promote emotional detachment. Start by setting clear boundaries in your interactions. If a conversation veers into an emotional territory that feels heavy or burdensome, practice gentle assertiveness by redirecting the discussion or stepping away momentarily. Learning to say no, or to acknowledge that you need to withdraw from emotionally charged interactions, is a powerful strategy that reinforces your emotional health. Another effective technique is to implement a compartmentalization exercise. This involves physically sectioning off emotional responses. For example, if you experience an emotionally overwhelming day at work, dedicate a specific time later to fully process those emotions, but in a controlled manner. Journal about it, discuss it with a trusted friend, or engage in a reflective activity during this designated time, ensuring that these emotions do not spill into other areas of your life. The case of Alex, a mental health professional, illustrates the power of implementing such strategies. By establishing boundaries with his clients and committing to reflective time after sessions, Alex not only preserved his emotional health, but also improved his capacity to provide support without compromising his own well-being. As you move forward from this lesson, remember that mastering emotional detachment fosters a deeper understanding of both yourself and your relationships. It is a liberating journey toward emotional resilience and clarity. In our next lesson, we will discuss the art of responding instead of reacting, learning to maintain composure and thoughtful engagement, even in challenging situations. As you reflect on the strategies shared here, please consider sharing your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Your involvement enriches this community and contributes to the collective growth as we navigate this journey together. Lesson 6. Responding, not reacting. The calm mindset. In the fast-paced world we inhabit, the ability to respond rather than react has never been more crucial. Our instinctual reactions to situations often stem from a place of insecurity, fear, or anxiety, leading us to act out before fully processing our emotions. This knee-jerk response not only hampers our ability to engage meaningfully with others, but can also create a cascade of misunderstandings and conflict. Cultivating a calm mindset allows us to navigate emotional turbulence with poise and an informed perspective, shaping our interactions and bolstering our personal growth. The psychological roots of our need for validation frequently exacerbate our instincts to react instead of thoughtfully responding. When we anchor our self-worth in the opinions of others, we become hypervigilant to criticism and judgment. Anxieties tied to perceived threats to our identity trigger immediate emotional reactions. For example, consider Tyler, a team member who feels constantly scrutinized by his peers. During team meetings, he often reacts defensively to feedback, interpreting constructive criticism as a personal attack. This reactionary behavior not only disrupts the group dynamic, but also leaves him feeling misunderstood and isolated. The truth is that when we seek validation, we place ourselves on high alert for approval or disapproval, preventing us from engaging calmly with others. Moreover, common scenarios highlight how this relentless need for validation can obstruct our pathways to meaningful communication. Lisa, a passionate advocate for social justice, often finds herself involved in heated discussions on sensitive topics. Instead of taking a moment to evaluate the conversation, she reacts impulsively, striving to defend her viewpoints passionately. Although her intentions are noble, her fear of being misunderstood leads to emotional clashes rather than insightful dialogues. Her immediate reaction overshadows the potential for constructive discourse, resulting in missed opportunities for growth and understanding. Recognizing these patterns is essential for anyone seeking to cultivate the skill of responding rather than reacting. The key lies in developing emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize and manage one's emotions while understanding the emotions of others. This often requires practice and intentionality. Observational research suggests that people with higher emotional intelligence can navigate challenging situations more adeptly, maintaining a calm facade in the face of adversity. It is vital to understand that responding thoughtfully involves a deliberate pause. Taking a moment to breathe and reflect before reacting can create a significant shift in the quality of our interactions. For instance, if confronted with a critical comment, practice pausing to ask yourself, what is the intention behind this feedback? How can I learn from this without internalizing it as a reflection of my worth? This approach helps to decouple your self-esteem from external validation, fostering a perspective that focuses on growth rather than defensiveness. The case of Jordan, a communication specialist, exemplifies this journey toward a more composed mindset. He often found himself embroiled in emotional disputes both at work and in personal relationships. After recognizing that his reactions stemmed from a fear of inadequacy, Jordan committed to implementing a practice of deep breathing and reflection. Before engaging in potentially tense conversations, he learned the power of taking a moment to reassess the situation, which led to calmer, more rational discussions that did not feel like personal attacks. In this lesson, we will explore actionable strategies to reinforce the ability to respond thoughtfully, creating a calmer approach to life's challenges. By embracing this mindset, you will discover the tools to transform conflicts into opportunities for connection and understanding. The journey to cultivating a calm mindset is essential for your personal growth and resilience, making it a vital aspect of navigating today's complexities. To cultivate the ability to respond rather than react, the first essential strategy is to become acutely aware of your emotional triggers. This self-awareness allows you to recognize the moments when you feel compelled to react impulsively in conversations or challenging situations. Start by maintaining a reaction log, where you document instances that prompt strong emotional responses. Note the circumstances surrounding each moment, how you felt, and the reaction you exhibited. Over time, patterns will emerge that highlight specific triggers, enabling you to anticipate and manage your emotional responses more effectively. Psychological research emphasizes that increased awareness of our emotional landscape fosters improved emotional regulation and decision-making. A significant mindset shift is necessary to support this process. Instead of viewing reactions as innate responses to external stimuli, reframe your perspective to see each situation as an opportunity for conscious engagement. Acknowledge that your initial impulse does not define you. Rather, it serves as a starting point for reflection. Consider the case of Anna, a project coordinator known for her fiery temper. During team meetings, she would often react defensively to suggestions, disrupting collaboration. After reflecting on her behavior, she realized that her reactions stemmed from a fear of feeling inadequate among her peers. By reframing these situations as opportunities to grow, Anna gradually transformed her approach, allowing her to become an effective listener and contributor. To reinforce your commitment to responding thoughtfully, engage in practical exercises that promote this behavior. One such technique is the pause and breathe exercise. When faced with a situation that prompts a strong emotional response, commit to taking 3 deep breaths before engaging. This brief moment of pause enables your mind to regain composure and provides the emotional space needed to respond with clarity rather than impulse. Psychological studies indicate that controlled breathing can significantly lower anxiety levels, improving emotional regulation in real time. Consider also the power of visualization in this context. Before entering settings that typically elicit emotional reactions, such as meetings or family gatherings, take a few moments to visualize how you want to respond to potential challenges. Picture yourself maintaining calmness, employing active listening, and engaging constructively. This technique harnesses the mind's power to effectively prepare you for future encounters. In practice, this visualization approach was transformative for Max, a sales associate who often found himself overwhelmed during client negotiations. By visualizing calm exchanges, he improved his performance and rapport with clients, demonstrating that mental preparation can pave the way for constructive interactions. Additionally, setting specific goals related to responding rather than reacting can be beneficial. For example, aim to consciously choose to ask questions instead of immediately defending your position in discussions. By practicing this approach, you foster a more constructive dialogue while creating emotional distance. Empirical studies in communication reveal that asking open-ended questions not only aids in understanding the other person's perspective, but also minimizes defensiveness, allowing for more meaningful interactions. As we conclude this lesson focused on cultivating a calm mindset, recognize that the journey to responding rather than reacting is ongoing and requires diligence. The skills you develop in fostering emotional awareness and thoughtful engagement will serve you throughout life, ultimately leading to healthier relationships and more fulfilling experiences. In our next lesson, we will delve into breaking free from guilt and obligation, exploring how to disentangle yourself from the weight of others' expectations. As you reflect on the insights from this lesson, consider sharing your thoughts or personal experiences in the comments. Your engagement enriches this process and fosters a supportive community as we continue to navigate this transformative journey together. Lesson 7. Breaking free from guilt and obligation. In the intricate dance of human relationships, guilt and obligation often serve as invisible chains that bind us to others' expectations, distracting us from our own true desires and needs. Breaking free from these chains is crucial for cultivating a life rooted in authenticity and self-fulfillment. Guilt and obligation can emerge from a deep-seated fear of abandonment or rejection, where the inclination to please others overshadows the necessity to honor one's own emotions and aspirations. This often leaves individuals feeling trapped, oscillating between the desire to assert their individuality and the pressure to conform to the demands of family, friends, or society. The psychological roots of this behavior often stem from early conditioning. Many people are raised in environments where expectations are clearly communicated, be it through familial obligations or social norms. From a young age, individuals learn that meeting certain expectations garners approval and love, fostering a loop of validation that binds them to the opinions of others. For instance, consider Jenna, who grew up in a household where academic success was valued above all else. In her pursuit of familial approval, she constantly pushed aside her own interests and passions, striving to meet the expectations of her parents. The result was a deep-seated guilt that accompanied any hint of self-prioritization. These feelings of obligation created a cycle where her self-worth was dictated by her ability to fulfill others' desires, leaving her feeling unfulfilled and exhausted. Common scenarios abound in which people succumb to guilt and obligation at the expense of their happiness. Michael, a dedicated employee, often finds himself working late to meet the demands of his boss, even when it encroaches on his personal time. He rationalizes these sacrifices with thoughts like, "If I don't, they'll think I'm not committed," perpetuating a pattern where his sense of value is intrinsically linked to his work output. This kind of behavior underscores a troubling reality. Overextending oneself to satiate others' expectations leads to burnout and resentment. The emotional toll of constantly giving in to guilt and obligation can result in chronic stress and anxiety, generating a pattern of self-neglect. When individuals prioritize others' needs over their own, they risk losing touch with their true self, cultivating a cycle of resentment and disillusionment. Psychological studies indicate that this accumulation of unmet personal needs can lead to significant emotional and mental distress, reinforcing the importance of recognizing and confronting these patterns. Understanding the underlying motivations for succumbing to guilt and obligation is essential for breaking free from their hold. A pivotal realization is that honoring personal needs does not equate to selfishness. Rather, it is an essential aspect of leading a fulfilled life. A major mindset shift towards self-compassion can help. Recognizing that it is not only acceptable but necessary to establish boundaries contributes to an individual's overall well-being, allowing for a healthier balance in relationships. As we transition into actionable strategies to break free from the clutches of guilt and obligation, consider journaling your feelings surrounding the obligations you face. Identify which tasks or commitments feel draining and which are inherently fulfilling. This exercise is key in clarifying that your worth is not tied to the fulfillment of others' expectations. Additionally, practicing assertive communication can be transformative. Start conveying your limits and needs to others with confidence, reframing the narrative around obligation to one of mutual respect and understanding. The journey of breaking free from guilt and obligation may feel daunting, but it is entirely attainable. In our next lesson, we will explore how to embrace inner peace over external chaos, focusing on strategies to cultivate serenity amidst the noise of life. As you reflect on your experiences with guilt and obligation, consider sharing your thoughts in the comments. Your insights enrich this community and inspire shared growth as we progress on this transformative journey together. To effectively break free from guilt and obligation, one of the first steps is developing self-awareness. Start by recognizing when feelings of guilt arise in response to your choices. Consider maintaining a guilt journal, where you can document situations that trigger guilt. By articulating these feelings, you gain clarity on what obligations weigh most heavily on you and why. This practice not only helps identify patterns, but also empowers you to confront the emotional discomfort associated with saying no or prioritizing yourself. Research indicates that journaling as an emotional outlet can significantly enhance self-awareness, leading to improved emotional regulation. A key mindset shift is to reframe your perception of obligation. Instead of viewing obligations as burdens, see them as choices with potential consequences, choices that can align or misalign with your personal values. This change in outlook helps reduce feelings of victimization. Many individuals incorrectly assume that honoring every commitment is a form of loyalty or integrity, but in reality, it often leads to resentment and burnout. Take Sarah, a dedicated volunteer who regularly overextends herself to please others. By reframing her commitments as choices that deserve her conscious approval rather than obligations she must fulfill, Sarah discovered the power of setting healthier boundaries. This new perspective allowed her to embrace activities that truly resonated with her values, enhancing her overall fulfillment. To solidify these mindset shifts and promote healthier behaviors, engage in actionable exercises that encourage boundary setting. One practical exercise is the 3-question challenge. When faced with a request, ask yourself, is this aligned with my values? Will saying yes lead to resentment or burnout? Am I comfortable with this choice? This approach prompts introspection, allowing you to evaluate whether the commitment genuinely serves your best interests. Such exercises are rooted in cognitive behavioral strategies, which highlight that consciously reframing our thoughts is crucial in altering ingrained patterns of behavior. Another useful strategy is practicing assertive communication. Develop a script you can use when turning down obligations that do not resonate with you. For example, you might say, I appreciate your invitation, but I have other commitments that I need to prioritize right now. Practicing this script in low-stakes situations can enhance your confidence and ability to express your limits firmly yet respectfully. Psychological research emphasizes the importance of assertiveness in overall psychological well-being, demonstrating that individuals who effectively communicate their needs experience less stress and greater life satisfaction. Consider the case of Tom, who felt crippling guilt every time he declined social invitations. After reflecting on the underlying causes of his guilt and practicing assertive communication, he gained the confidence to decline invitations when he needed time for himself. Over time, Tom discovered that when he prioritized his needs, he was more engaged and present during social interactions, a striking contrast to the resentment he once felt. His experience exemplifies how breaking free from the emotional shackles of guilt can lead to healthier relationships and increased personal satisfaction. As we conclude this lesson, remember that the journey of breaking free from guilt and obligation leads to greater self-awareness and fulfillment. Gaining the confidence to put your needs at the forefront of your life is an empowering and liberating experience. In our next lesson, we will explore the concept of embracing inner peace over external chaos, focusing on the strategies to cultivate tranquility despite life's unpredictable nature. As you reflect on the insights gained from this discussion, consider sharing your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Your engagement plays a vital role in fostering a supportive community as we navigate this transformative journey together. Lesson 8: Embracing inner peace over external chaos. In a world filled with constant noise and unpredictable events, the quest for inner peace can feel like chasing an impossible mirage. However, embracing inner peace amid chaos is not only attainable but essential for living a fulfilling life. As external circumstances fluctuate, our emotional state often becomes intertwined with these elements, leading us down a path where our sense of self-worth and well-being hinge on outside chaos. The challenge is to cultivate an unwavering center that remains unaffected by the storms that life inevitably throws our way. The psychological reasons for seeking validation in chaotic circumstances are deeply rooted in our desire for security and acceptance. When we face unpredictable environments, be it a tumultuous workplace, unstable relationships, or the relentless pace of modern life, our minds often latch on to external opinions to gauge our worth and competence. This validation-seeking behavior can create a reactive mindset where emotional responses are fueled by fear and anxiety. For instance, consider the case of Maya, who works in a high-stress corporate environment. When faced with criticism from a supervisor, she spirals into self-doubt, Instead of viewing feedback as an opportunity for growth, she interprets it as a setback, allowing the chaos of the workplace to dictate her emotional health. It is in such scenarios that the ability to cultivate inner peace becomes drastically important. Moreover, common situations often reveal how easily individuals get swept away in external turmoil. Take David, an avid social media user who frequently scrolls through his feeds. He finds himself becoming agitated when he witnesses negative news or divisive opinions. Rather than stepping back, he engages deeply with the chaos, often responding impulsively to heated discussions. This emotional entanglement not only pulls him further away from his personal values, but also disrupts his inner tranquility. The irony is stark. In seeking validation through engagement with external chaos, David loses sight of his inner peace, perpetuating a cycle of distress. The emotional strain that accompanies the relentless pursuit of external validation can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and feelings of inadequacy. Studies in psychology reveal that when individuals define their self-worth based on external influences, such as social media feedback, public opinions, or workplace evaluations, their emotional state becomes inherently unstable. Their capacity to cultivate inner peace diminishes because they inherently allow outside forces to dictate their sense of self. Recognizing these patterns is the first step in reclaiming your inner peace. It's essential to realize that while we cannot control external chaos, we can influence how we respond to it. This realization serves as a key mindset shift, empowering you to take charge of your emotional landscape. Accepting that your worth is independent of outside influences is paramount to trudging down the path of inner tranquility. As we embark on this exploration, consider implementing practices that promote emotional resilience. Mindfulness meditation, for instance, is a powerful tool for fostering inner calm. By intentionally focusing on the present moment and letting go of the need for approval from external sources, mindfulness serves as a grounding practice amidst chaos. Additionally, cultivating gratitude, focusing on what is going well in your life rather than what is chaotic, can significantly enhance your emotional well-being. The journey toward embracing inner peace over external chaos is ongoing, yet profoundly rewarding. In our subsequent sections, we will delve deeper into actionable strategies that help solidify this inner peace, empowering you to navigate the world's turbulence with grace and confidence. As you reflect on these guiding principles, consider the moments in your life where external chaos has clouded your inner tranquility. Your willingness to engage in this exploration is the first step towards reclaiming your right to peaceful existence. To cultivate a mindset of inner peace amidst the chaos of life, the first step is recognizing when external factors begin to influence your emotional state. Keeping an emotional awareness journal can be an invaluable tool in this context. Each day, take a few moments to reflect on specific events that triggered emotional reactions, whether positive or negative, and how these reactions impacted your state of mind. By documenting your feelings and the associated external triggers, you develop a clearer understanding of how often you allow outside influences to disturb your inner calm. Research in emotional intelligence underscores the importance of self-awareness as a critical step toward emotional regulation, enabling you to identify patterns that disrupt your peace. A vital mindset shift involves reframing the perception of chaos and conflict as opportunities for growth, rather than threats to your stability. This perspective allows you to respond with curiosity rather than fear. For instance, when faced with a chaotic situation at work, such as an unexpected change in project direction, instead of becoming overwhelmed, consider it an opportunity to develop adaptability and resilience. Take the example of Laura, an event planner who often became anxious when last-minute changes arose in her projects. After consciously choosing to see these changes as challenges that could enhance her skills, Laura found she could not only maintain her inner peace but thrive in dynamic environments. Implementing practical exercises is key to reinforcing a peaceful mindset. One beneficial technique is the 5 senses exercise, which grounds you in the present moment. When feeling overwhelmed, take a moment to pause and consciously engage your 5 senses. Note 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This exercise fosters mindfulness and brings you back to the present, effectively reducing anxiety induced by external chaos. Psychological research has shown that grounding techniques help decrease stress and increase feelings of peace. Another effective strategy is to create a peace manifesto, a personal document that outlines what inner peace means to you, the values you wish to uphold, and the boundaries you need to establish to protect your tranquility. Include affirmations that resonate with this vision, reinforcing your commitment to prioritize your emotional well-being. By revisiting your manifesto regularly, you anchor yourself to your beliefs and intentions, enabling clarity amid confusion and chaos. Additionally, regular practices of gratitude can act as a protective buffer against external stressors. Begin or end each day by writing down 3 things you are grateful for, no matter how small. This simple act shifts your focus from chaos to the positive aspects of your life, fostering a sense of contentment. Research has demonstrated that cultivating gratitude can significantly improve overall well-being and enhance emotional resilience. As we conclude this lesson, it's essential to remember that embracing inner peace amidst external chaos is a continuous journey that requires intention and practice. The strategies and perspectives discussed here empower you to navigate life's challenges while remaining grounded and composed. In our next lesson, we will delve into the importance of staying cool when criticized or judged, exploring how to maintain self-assurance in the face of external scrutiny. As you reflect on the insights shared in this discussion, consider leaving a comment with your thoughts or experiences. Your contributions help create a meaningful dialogue and support others on their journeys towards inner calm. Lesson 9. Staying cool when criticized or judged. In the landscape of human interactions, criticism can feel like an unavoidable storm that disrupts our emotional equilibrium. The ability to remain composed when faced with judgment or critique is a vital skill that not only cultivates self-confidence, but also fortifies inner peace. Each of us encounters situations where we're scrutinized, whether in professional environments, personal relationships, or public forums, and how we respond to these judgments often hinges on our inner perception of self-worth. The challenge lies in fostering resilience that allows us to stay cool, even when others seek to undermine our confidence. The psychological roots of our sensitivity to criticism can be traced to our innate desire for belonging and approval. From early childhood experiences, many of us learn that acceptance is conditional upon meeting others' expectations. This early conditioning can manifest as an overwhelming fear of disapproval in adulthood, driving individuals to seek validation from external sources. For example, consider Chris, a talented writer who often shares his work in various online communities. Despite receiving encouraging feedback, he fixates on a handful of negative comments, spiraling into self-doubt. In Chris's case, the desire to please and be accepted leads him to view criticism as a reflection of his worth rather than an opportunity for growth. This mindset not only stifles his creativity, but also creates a cycle of anxiety and hesitation. Another common scenario where judgment and criticism take center stage is during professional evaluations. Take the case of Angela, a dedicated project manager who has invested significant effort into her team's success. During a performance review, her supervisor highlights areas for improvement, which Angela interprets as a personal failure. Instead of absorbing the feedback in a constructive manner, she internalizes it, feeling as though she has let her team down. This reaction is typical for individuals who tie their self-worth to external assessments. The moment they perceive disapproval, they react defensively or with excessive remorse, thus hampering their personal growth. The emotional toll inflicted by judgment can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and a lack of self-confidence. Psychological studies underscore that individuals who often seek validation and are deeply affected by criticism experience a higher incidence of emotional distress. When validation is dependent on external approval, each interaction becomes a potential minefield, where perceived judgment can lead to emotional upheaval. Recognizing these harmful patterns is the first step in developing a resilient mindset. A transformative realization is that criticism, while often uncomfortable, does not define you. Instead of perceiving judgment as a personal attack, reframe it as a potential opportunity for personal and professional growth. This mental shift allows you to detach your self-worth from the opinions of others, cultivating a greater sense of self-acceptance. Moreover, practicing emotional regulation techniques can help mitigate the discomfort associated with criticism. One effective practice involves taking a moment to breathe deeply before responding to feedback. Anchoring yourself in your breath fosters emotional clarity, enabling you to engage with criticism more thoughtfully rather than reactively. Consider a moment when you've received feedback and instinctively felt defensive. Reflect on how a brief pause could have altered the course of your response. As we embark on this exploration of responding to criticism with composure, remember that developing this skill is an ongoing journey that requires practice and intention. The insights shared here provide you with tools to navigate judgment and criticism without compromising your self-worth. In the next lesson, we will challenge the instinct to seek external validation further by delving into the power of embracing your true self, even in the face of disapproval. As you reflect on the ideas presented here, take a moment to engage with this content by sharing your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Your contributions enrich the broader conversation and inspire others on their personal journeys. To effectively navigate criticism and judgment while maintaining composure, one of the first steps is to develop an acute awareness of your emotional triggers. Keep a criticism response journal, where you document moments when you receive feedback or criticism that impacts you emotionally. Reflect on your feelings and reactions in these instances. Did you feel defensive, hurt, or anxious? This exercise can help you recognize patterns and identify specific triggers that lead to heightened emotional responses. Psychological research supports the notion that self-reflection enhances emotional intelligence and enables individuals to respond more thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. An essential mindset shift involves reframing how you perceive criticism. Instead of viewing it as a personal attack, consider it a tool for growth and self-improvement. Shift your language from defensive to constructive. Replace thoughts like, "They don't understand me," with, "What can I learn from this feedback?" This shift allows you to approach criticism with curiosity rather than fear. For example, reflect on the experiences of James, a software engineer who frequently received critical feedback during code reviews. Initially, he felt attacked and discouraged, but with guidance, he learned to ask clarifying questions about the feedback. By reframing his perception, he transformed the experience from one of anxiety to an opportunity for enhancement and collaboration. Actionable exercises can further reinforce your ability to manage criticism with grace. One such exercise is the feedback processing technique. When you receive potentially harsh feedback, take a breather before responding. This can be as simple as taking 3 deep breaths, stepping away momentarily to collect your thoughts, or writing down the critique before allowing yourself to react. Once you've calmed your mind, evaluate the feedback from a neutral standpoint. Ask yourself, is there merit to this criticism? How can I use it to improve? This process is rooted in mindfulness practices, which have been shown to significantly decrease anxiety and enhance self-regulation. Another useful strategy is to practice the compliment sandwich. When receiving feedback, focus on acknowledging one aspect of your work that has been positively received, followed by the constructive criticism, and conclude with another positive note. This approach helps create a balanced view and reassures you that you are not defined solely by criticism. For instance, after presenting a project, when receiving mixed feedback, you might say, "I appreciate that you found my presentation engaging. I will work on the data analysis section you mentioned, and I'm excited to apply these suggestions for future presentations." This not only reinforces your inner confidence, but also provides clarity on how to grow from the experience. The experiences of Emily, a public relations professional who often faced scrutiny during client presentations, exemplify this approach. Originally overwhelmed by critical feedback, she began applying the compliment sandwich technique, allowing her to absorb critique without feeling defeated. Emily noted an improvement in her confidence and a more open attitude toward the feedback, fostering a collaborative environment with clients. As we conclude this lesson on staying cool when faced with criticism and judgment, remember that the ability to manage external feedback is a skill that can be cultivated over time. It requires intention, openness, and practice. In our next lesson, we will explore how to live freely without seeking validation, diving into the transformative power of embracing your true self without compromise. As you reflect on the insights shared in this lesson, consider engaging with this content by sharing your experiences or thoughts in the comments. Your participation enriches our community and inspires mutual growth as we continue on this transformative journey together. Lesson 10. Setting boundaries without fear or guilt. In a world that often glorifies busyness and overcommitment, the ability to set clear boundaries is a revolutionary act of self-preservation and empowerment. The essential truth is that boundaries are not barriers. Rather, they are the mechanisms through which we define our own space and well-being. When we fail to assert our boundaries, we inadvertently invite chaos into our lives, leading to feelings of overwhelm and resentment. Cultivating the courage to set boundaries allows us to reclaim our time and energy, ultimately nurturing a healthier relationship with ourselves and others. The psychological drive to please others often underpins our resistance to set boundaries. In many instances, this stems from a deeply ingrained fear of disapproval or loss, rooted in a belief that our value is contingent upon our ability to fulfill others' expectations. For many, the thought of disappointing someone else can provoke anxiety or guilt. Take Rachel, for instance, who juggles multiple obligations at work and home. Despite feeling stretched thin, her reluctance to decline requests stems from her need for approval. Each time she agrees to an additional task, she feels a momentary rush of validation, only to silently grapple with stress and frustration later. The emotional cost of her inability to set boundaries manifests in burnout and a fragmented sense of self. Such scenarios highlight how failing to establish boundaries leads not only to personal dissatisfaction, but also to strained relationships. Consider Jason, who often finds himself overwhelmed by social obligations. When friends invite him for outings, he feels obligated to say yes, fearing that declining will hurt their feelings or damage his standing in the group. However, this behavior ultimately detracts from his well-being, leaving him feeling trapped in a cycle of obligation. The consequence is a perpetual sense of anxiety that hinders his ability to enjoy social interactions, transforming them into burdens rather than sources of joy. The psychological impact of neglecting personal boundaries can lead to chronic stress, decreased self-esteem, and even depression. Research in psychology indicates that individuals who lack clear boundaries often struggle with feelings of inadequacy as they continuously seek validation through pleasing others. This validation-seeking behavior can create an emotional environment where personal needs are perpetually suppressed, leading to discontent and frustration. Understanding the motivation behind your reluctance to set boundaries is crucial for instigating change. It's essential to recognize that boundary setting is an act of self-care rather than selfishness. It enables you to honor your own needs while simultaneously fostering healthier relationships. The realization that your worth is not measured by your ability to meet others' demands is pivotal. To begin effectively setting boundaries, start by identifying the areas of your life where you feel most overwhelmed or taken advantage of. Practicing assertiveness can dramatically shift how you approach boundary setting. Use I statements to express your feelings and needs clearly. For example, instead of saying, "You always expect too much from me," try framing it as, "I need to limit my commitments to maintain my well-being." This subtle shift empowers you to articulate your boundaries without assigning blame, making it more likely for others to respond positively. One useful exercise is to create a boundaries checklist, identifying situations where you feel compelled to say yes and the consequences of that agreement. This reflection will help solidify your intent to establish limits, allowing you to approach future situations with a clearer perspective. As we transition into this transformative lesson on setting boundaries, remember that this journey is not just about saying no, but about reclaiming your time and energy. In our next lesson, we will explore the profound implications of living freely without seeking validation, the ultimate embrace of authenticity. As you contemplate the ideas presented here, consider sharing your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Your engagement enriches the dialogue and supports others on their path. To effectively set and maintain healthy boundaries, the first step is to recognize when your boundaries are being tested or violated. This requires self-awareness and the ability to listen to your emotional responses. Begin by paying attention to moments when you feel uncomfortable, resentful, or overwhelmed by obligations. Maintaining a boundary awareness journal can be beneficial. Document situations where you felt your boundaries were crossed and how those instances made you feel. By reflecting on these experiences, you can identify patterns and scenarios that trigger your discomfort, allowing you to establish clearer boundaries in the future. Psychological research indicates that self-reflection enhances emotional intelligence, equipping you with the insights needed to manage your responses more effectively. A pivotal mindset shift is to view setting boundaries not as a limitation, but as a necessary act of self-respect. Emphasizing self-worth is crucial. Understand that your time and energy are valuable resources. Everyone has a right to prioritize their own needs, and setting boundaries is a way to honor that. Consider Daniel, a project manager who often found himself stretched thin by taking on last-minute requests from his team. After recognizing his tendency to overcommit, he shifted his mindset to see boundaries as supportive guidelines that enable him to perform at his best. By reframing boundaries as tools for self-care, Daniel found that he could maintain his well-being while still supporting his team effectively. Additionally, practice assertiveness in communicating your boundaries. This means expressing your needs clearly and confidently without feeling guilty or apologetic. For instance, when faced with a request that conflicts with your personal priorities, you might say, "I appreciate the offer, but I need to focus on my current responsibilities and cannot take on additional tasks at this time." Using direct language fosters respect and clarifies your limits without inviting further negotiation. Psychological studies consistently show that assertive communication leads to healthier relationships and greater self-advocacy. One actionable exercise to help reinforce the habit of setting boundaries is to role-play scenarios with a trusted friend. This practice can help you anticipate potential challenges and rehearse your responses in a supportive environment. For example, imagine how you would respond if a colleague repeatedly approached you with last-minute requests. Practicing these conversations will help build your confidence, making it easier for you to express your boundaries in real-life situations. Consider the example of Laura, a graphic designer who often felt guilty when refusing clients' requests for unlimited revisions. After working through exercises with a mentor, she learned to set firm limits on the number and scope of revisions, articulating her boundaries in a professional and assertive manner. This approach not only relieved her stress, but also established clearer expectations with her clients, ultimately enhancing her professional relationships. Finally, it is crucial to be prepared for some pushback when you begin asserting your boundaries. Understand that not everyone will respond positively at first, and that's okay. Remaining steadfast in your convictions demonstrates your commitment to self-respect. As you continue to establish and reinforce your boundaries, remind yourself that you are worthy of respect and have the right to prioritize your own needs. As we conclude this lesson on setting boundaries without fear or guilt, embrace the understanding that these practices foster self-empowerment and healthier dynamics in your relationships. In the next lesson, we will discuss the liberating journey of living freely without seeking validation, focusing on how to embrace your authentic self and encourage genuine relationships. Reflect on the insights shared here and feel free to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Your contributions greatly enrich this community, supporting a shared journey of growth and understanding. Lesson 11. Becoming unshakable in stressful situations. In life's tumultuous moments, the ability to remain unshaken is a powerful asset, enabling us to navigate adversity with poise and resilience. Stressful situations are inevitable. Yet the difference between feeling overwhelmed and maintaining composure often lies in our mindset and emotional preparedness. The journey to becoming unshakable requires an understanding of how external factors, such as judgment, pressures, and expectations, can disturb our emotional equilibrium. Cultivating resilience is paramount. It's not merely about surviving stress, but thriving amid it. At the psychological core of our need for validation in stressful moments is a deep-seated fear of inadequacy. Many individuals are conditioned from an early age to equate their worth with others' perceptions. Thus, when faced with criticism or high-stakes scenarios, they may feel a heightened sense of vulnerability. Take the case of Jake, a young entrepreneur preparing to pitch his startup to potential investors. Despite diligent preparation, Jake becomes consumed with worries about how they will perceive his ideas. His anxiety spirals, leading to nervousness that compromises his performance. In his pursuit of validation, Jake overlooks the importance of believing in his capabilities, highlighting the emotional toll that external judgment can exact during critical moments. Common scenarios illustrating this dynamic abound, particularly in high-pressure environments, such as workplaces and social situations. Consider Sarah, who struggles to maintain her composure during team meetings where feedback is given. Instead of contributing her insights, she hesitates, worried about being judged or criticized. This hesitancy creates a cycle of self-doubt, causing her to withdraw further into herself. The irony is that by seeking validation from others, she inadvertently relinquishes her own power. Rather than embracing her unique perspective, she confines herself to the shadows of others' opinions. The emotional repercussions of seeking validation in stressful situations can lead to chronic anxiety and diminished self-confidence. Research in psychology consistently highlights that individuals who seek approval often report feeling overwhelmed and insecure when confronted with stress. Their emotional resilience diminishes as they continuously surrender their emotional fortitude to external influences. This reality exacerbates the cycle of dependence on validation, while hampering their ability to cope effectively in challenging circumstances. Recognizing these underlying psychological patterns is essential in the journey toward becoming unshakable. A critical step is reframing how you perceive stress itself. Rather than viewing it as a burden, consider stress as an opportunity for growth. This perspective shift empowers you to navigate challenges with an open mindset, allowing you to learn and adapt from experiences rather than feeling victimized by them. Mindfulness practices can serve as invaluable tools in developing the ability to remain unshaken. When you find yourself in a stressful situation, focus on your breath. Practicing deep breathing for just a few moments can significantly ground you. By anchoring your awareness on the rhythmic pattern of your breath, you shift your focus away from external pressures and internal chaos. For example, after receiving challenging feedback from a supervisor, take a few deep breaths before responding. This allows you to cultivate a calm demeanor and thoughtful reply, rather than a hasty and defensive reaction. Also, engage in real-world challenges that provide opportunities to practice resilience. Start by placing yourself in slightly uncomfortable situations and gradually increase the difficulty. For instance, initiate conversations on contentious topics where differing opinions are likely. Observing your responses can reveal your capacity to remain composed and assertive under pressure. As we delve deeper into this journey of becoming unshakable in stressful situations, remember that resilience is a skill that can be cultivated through commitment and practice. In our next lesson, we will explore how to live freely without seeking validation, unlocking the pathway to authentic self-expression. Reflect on the insights shared in this lesson and consider sharing your experiences or thoughts in the comments. Your engagement contributes to a supportive community where growth and understanding flourish together. To cultivate the ability to remain unshakable in stressful situations, first, develop awareness of your emotional triggers. Identify the specific scenarios that induce stress and prompt you to seek validation from others. Maintaining a stress trigger journal can be invaluable. In this journal, document experiences where you felt overwhelmed and how you responded. Reflect on whether your reactions stemmed from a desire for approval or fear of judgment. Over time, reviewing these entries will help you recognize recurring patterns, enabling you to make a conscious effort to alter your responses. Psychological research consistently emphasizes that self-awareness is crucial for emotional regulation and personal growth. A crucial mindset shift involves reframing how you perceive stress. Instead of viewing stressful situations as threats, See them as opportunities for growth and resilience building. This shift allows you to engage challenges with a proactive attitude. For example, when faced with a demanding project at work, instead of succumbing to anxiety, view it as a chance to demonstrate your skills and enhance your capabilities. The story of Emily, who initially felt daunted by high-pressure scenarios, is illustrative. After changing her approach, she started to perceive difficult tasks as chances to shine. As a result, she became more open-minded and better equipped to handle stress. Incorporating mindfulness practices into your routine can serve as an essential strategy for maintaining composure. Practicing mindfulness helps ground you in the present moment, reducing feelings of anxiety associated with future uncertainties. Try dedicating 5 minutes each day to mindfulness meditation. During this time, focus on your breath and observe your thoughts without judgment. When stressful situations arise, utilizing this mindfulness technique can create a mental buffer, allowing you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Research in neuroscience indicates that regular mindfulness practice enhances emotional regulation and fortifies resilience, essential for weathering life's storms. Another powerful exercise is the stress exposure challenge. Start by intentionally placing yourself in mildly stressful situations, gradually increasing the intensity as you build confidence in your ability to remain composed. This could involve speaking in public, engaging in challenging conversations, or tackling a difficult task with a tight deadline. Each time you complete a challenge, reflect on how you managed your emotions and the effectiveness of your response. Over time, this approach enables you to practice resilience, developing the confidence to face more significant challenges with a calmer demeanor. Consider the example of Mark, a sales professional who struggled under pressure during client meetings. To overcome his anxiety, he began implementing the stress exposure challenge, first practicing with colleagues in low-stakes mock meetings. Gradually, he transitioned to real client meetings. Mark's experiences illustrate that embracing discomfort and practicing resilience can transform one's ability to remain unshaken when faced with real challenges. As we conclude this lesson, remember that becoming unshakable in stressful situations is not merely a reaction. It is an ongoing practice that nurtures self-awareness and emotional resilience. In the next lesson, we will explore the theme of living freely without seeking validation, emphasizing the importance of authentic self-expression and the liberation that comes from within. As you reflect on the insights shared here, consider sharing your thoughts or personal experiences in the comments. Engaging with this material enriches the community and encourages collective growth on this transformative journey. Your experiences can offer invaluable support and inspiration to others walking a similar path. Lesson 12. Living freely without seeking validation. In a society that constantly bombards us with messages about how to live, look, and act, the realization that we can live freely without seeking validation is both liberating and transformative. Many individuals find themselves ensnared in a cycle of proving their worth through the approval of others, a behavior that can lead to dissatisfaction and emotional turmoil. When we seek validation from external sources, we relinquish control over our own self-worth, thus sacrificing our authenticity in a quest for approval. The challenge, therefore, is to break free from these chains and embrace a life where our self-worth is defined solely by our values and beliefs. The psychological reasons behind the need for validation are often deep-rooted in our developmental experiences. From childhood, we learn to gauge our worth based on how others perceive us, be it through praise from parents, recognition from peers, or feedback from teachers. This early conditioning leaves many individuals feeling as though their worth is contingent upon external approval. Consider the situation of Amir, a high-achieving student whose self-esteem is tightly connected to receiving accolades and grades. When he excels, he feels validated. However, when faced with setbacks or criticism, Amir spirals into self-doubt, convinced that he is a failure. His experience underscores a common truth, that an over-reliance on validation fosters insecurity and obstructs genuine self-acceptance. When we allow our self-worth to be manipulated by outside influences, even minor criticisms can evoke intense emotional responses. Take, for example, Lisa, who finds herself constantly seeking affirmation from her social media followers. Each time she posts, her happiness is directly tied to the number of likes and comments she receives. When her posts don't garner the expected attention, her mood plummets. This pattern not only creates anxiety, but also distracts her from investing in activities that truly matter to her. Lisa's experience illustrates a pervasive trap. Seeking validation can lead to a distorted sense of self and diminished emotional well-being. The emotional toll of seeking validation can manifest as chronic stress, anxiety, and a lack of fulfillment. Research indicates that those who depend on external validation often experience higher levels of emotional instability. This dynamic perpetuates a detrimental cycle, where one feels compelled to seek constant approval, further eroding genuine self-esteem. When our identities become intertwined with people's opinions, we become vulnerable to the whims of others, leading us to neglect our true desires. Recognizing these patterns is essential for healing. A critical first step is to cultivate self-awareness and acknowledge that your worth is intrinsic and unchanging. Shifting your mindset from seeking approval to embracing self-acceptance requires a profound internal transformation. Begin by identifying your core values and passions, what genuinely resonates with you, separate from others' opinions. This introspective journey can awaken a newfound appreciation for your unique identity. Practical strategies can reinforce the movement away from reliance on external validation. Start by deliberately practicing self-affirmation. Each day, set aside a moment to write down 3 things you like about yourself that have nothing to do with others' approval. This will help cultivate a sense of self that is independent of outside opinions. Additionally, engage in activities that align with your passions, regardless of how they are perceived externally. Pursuing your interests for your own fulfillment can reignite a sense of purpose and joy, fostering authentic connections with others who share similar passions. As we conclude this exploration of living freely without seeking validation, remember that the journey to self-acceptance is both empowering and essential for emotional well-being. In embracing your authentic self, you unlock the potential for a life lived fully and passionately. Up next, we will delve into the profound implications of owning your narrative and exploring the freedom that comes from living without fear of judgment. As you reflect on the insights shared in this lesson, consider contributing your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Your engagement enriches our community and inspires collective growth on this transformative journey. To fully embrace a life free from the need for external validation, the first step is to recognize behaviors that perpetuate this need. Begin by fostering self-awareness, identifying situations where you feel compelled to seek approval from others. Keeping a journal can be an effective strategy. Document moments when you seek validation, how it manifests, and the emotional impact it leaves. This will help you pinpoint triggers that lead you to seek external affirmation. Psychological research emphasizes the importance of self-reflection and personal growth, which allows for greater emotional understanding and autonomy in response to life's challenges. A crucial mindset shift involves reevaluating the notion of worthiness itself. Internalize the understanding that your value is inherent and not contingent on others' opinions. This may initially feel foreign, especially for those who have relied on external validation for their entire lives. Consider framing discussions with yourself around affirmations such as, "I am enough as I am," or "My worth is not determined by others." Research in positive psychology shows that self-affirmations can improve resilience and well-being, reinforcing a healthier internal narrative. Practical strategies can help you break the cycle of seeking validation. For instance, practice the pause, which involves taking a moment before responding to a request or comment that triggers your validation-seeking instincts. Ask yourself if this request aligns with your values and needs. This brief moment of reflection can help you avoid impulsively agreeing to something that detracts from your authentic self. Hannah, for example, found herself exhausted by always saying yes to social invitations. By implementing this pause, she began to evaluate her desires and asserts herself by declining invitations that did not serve her interest. Another effective approach is to cultivate intrinsic motivation by diving into activities that align with your passions. Focus on doing things for yourself rather than for others' approval. Engage in hobbies or projects that excite you without the concern of external judgment. This process will encourage you to reconnect with your authentic self and cultivate a sense of fulfillment that is independent of others' opinions. Take the example of Sam, a musician who initially only played for audiences. Once he shifted his perspective to perform for personal joy, he found his creativity blossomed, reducing his anxiety before performances. Additionally, challenge yourself to express your opinions and desires openly, even in potentially contentious situations. This can feel daunting, but is essential for strengthening your self-advocacy. If a friend or colleague asks for your input, share your perspective honestly, regardless of how it might be received. Over time, this practice can build confidence in asserting your voice, helping you to embrace your unique perspective without fear of disapproval. The implementation of a validation detox can also be beneficial. Dedicate a week to consciously refrain from seeking external affirmation, particularly via social media or during social interactions. Use this time to reconnect with your internal sense of self-worth and foster self-compassion. Research demonstrates that reducing exposure to social media can decrease anxiety and improve mental health, allowing individuals to focus on genuine self-acceptance. As you take these steps toward living freely and authentically, remember that the journey involves patience and consistent effort. Each of these strategies can empower you to reclaim your narrative and find strength in your authentic self, fostering a sense of peace and fulfillment that comes from within. Embrace this opportunity for growth and hold on to the knowledge that you have the capacity to define your worth on your own terms. By doing so, you cultivate a life grounded in purpose and determination, remaining unshakable in the face of life's external pressures. In conclusion, this journey through the pages of Unbothered Mindset, Care Less and Stay Calm in All Situations, equips you with essential tools for navigating the complexities of modern life. From mastering the art of not taking things personally, to establishing healthy boundaries and embracing your authentic self, each lesson has been designed to empower you to break free from the chains of external validation. As you cultivate emotional resilience and learn to navigate criticism and chaos with grace, you will discover the freedom that comes from living life on your own terms. Remember that the path to self-acceptance is ongoing. It requires intention and practice. Thank you for investing your time in this transformative journey. Your commitment to personal growth is commendable, and I encourage you to continue exploring these concepts in your everyday life. If you found value in this content, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support not only helps us reach more individuals on this journey, but also enriches our community as we grow together in understanding and resilience.